Or say you need some time, right? لو حريقة and you can't handle it, please, I just need 10 minutes. نبقى نكلم كلام كمان شوية. بكرة, بعده, يوم الجمعة, whenever. But don't just walk away and don't just shut down. Figure out when. Okay. So there's some, we're going to talk about الحاجات اللي بتlead to dissatisfaction and الحاجات اللي بتlead to satisfaction in marriage. Okay? Some common ones that all of us face. The first one is sexual refusal. Right? So when one partner is seeking from their spouse, they would like to have sex, and the other person rejects, says no, or what happens most of the time, we don't actually just say no, right? I have a headache. I'm already asleep. I don't know what you're talking about, right? And we don't actually talk about it with our words. We just give hints. I know that when he does this, this is what he wants, and so I'm going to do this to let him know that I don't want to. Or she does this, and oh no, I'm going to pretend like I can't see. Right? Like بنستعبط على بعض. It's true. So if you're always turning your spouse down, if you're always refusing, you have to recognize that this is a rejection. Imagine being rejected over and over and over again. What does that do to someone? When you're rejected for anything in the world, what does it do to you? It hurts. It hurts. And hurt after hurt after hurt, we start to stonewall. We start to do this. Because it hurts too much to be open and to keep putting yourself out there. So find a different way to respond. Instead of the refusing, just like the arguments, find an alternative. You know, not tonight. Like, I'm really tired. I had a really hard day. Maybe Thursday, I have a really empty day. Like, مواعيش حاجات كتيرة. Maybe Thursday will be easier. Okay? Have a conversation where you decide when. Just like the argument. You say when. Not now. طب إمتى? Instead of just no, 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 no. Where's the hope? How is the other person supposed to have any hope? Okay, the second thing that leads to dissatisfaction is digital technology, right? Our laptops, our phones, our computers. Nowadays, this wasn't a factor in marriages 50 years ago. Now, this is what we do, right? So many couples, you're both in bed, and this is what you're both doing. Anybody? Does this sound familiar? This is how you're unwinding. This is how you're relaxing. You sit there, and she sits there, and you both, yeah, you see, yeah. And you keep going until you both fall asleep. That's what many, many couples do now. What you miss is all of the late night moments where you might have a small, important conversation. All of the intimate closeness that would happen during that time. Instead of relaxing together, you're relaxing apart. You're together. You're not together. You're relaxing apart. You're in two separate relaxation worlds. Decide to make a change. This takes a lot of effort. Decide together. Maybe we're going to charge our phones downstairs in the kitchen. Maybe we're going to charge them away from the bed, somewhere else. So that it's not so easy. Because you know what else it does is it helps us avoid. This is the best tool of avoidance, right? Your spouse is saying something, and you don't like it. Oh, here we go again. We're going to talk about this again. Oh, she brings this up every single week. Yeah, yeah. Best avoidance, right? Because the conversation is not going to go anywhere. It's going to be so easy for it to end. Yeah, okay, khalas. And then you end it. It doesn't go anywhere. All right, the third thing is constant criticism. So I already told you that criticism is one of the 4 horsemen, right? This constant criticism. Everything they do isn't right. It's not the way you want it, right? Oh, did you put this away? Yeah. Oh, you put it away in the wrong drawer. Oh, did you clean this up? Yeah. This isn't clean. You call this clean? Right? Did you take the kids to practice? What? You got there 10 minutes late? Right? You can't do anything right. You begin to feel like a failure. And so why would you want to keep trying? It really sucks the life out. So instead of the constant criticism, be specific. Could you please, what? Make your request without the criticizing. You also have to recognize that a lot of times we pick on our spouse because we feel bad. Are you guilty of that? You feel bad about yourself. You mess up at work or with your family members, like your family of origin, like your mom, your dad, your sister, brother. You feel bad about yourself, and you start criticizing your spouse. Right? You feel like your sister never pays attention to you. You call, she didn't pick up. You call, she didn't pick up. And you go home, and your spouse does something, and you're like, you never pay attention to me. That came from somewhere else. Pay attention to where your stuff comes from, and don't always put all of it on your spouse. All right, the next is pornography use. This does a lot of damage in marriages, unfortunately, because what you're doing is you're visualizing a fantasy world that doesn't involve your spouse. So you're in this world, and your spouse is over here, and you're involving something that is very crucial to a marriage, and you're doing it in isolation. You need to find ways to have that intimacy together. The other one is health problems. So poor sleep, stress, chronic illness, mental illness, drug use, right? The more you're sleep deprived, right, the more tired you are, the more cranky you are with your spouse. The more irritable you are, the more stress you have at work, the more you go home and start yelling at everybody, right? So all of these health concerns, they have a big impact on your marriage too, and you have to pay attention to that. Go see your physician, get that taken care of, rather than let it ruin your marriage. So what I want you to know is when we talk about, well, why aren't marriages working now? What does everybody say? What's like the number one reason everybody says? It's like a buzzword. Communication, 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 right? Isn't that what everybody says? It's communication. It's not. It's not only that. You can keep communicating over and over and over again. I hate the way you do that. I hate the way you do that. I hate the way you do that. I'm very clear communicating. I just don't have a very good message that I'm giving. It's not just communication. So don't keep blaming it on that. So the other really important one that leads to satisfaction, and this is going to be a big one, but that mutual respect, not insulting, not name-calling, speaking kindly to each other. These are all things that make a marriage continue to grow because you're connecting. So a few weeks ago, I saw a couple. They were older. They were like in their 70s. It was in like a coffee shop. And she was with her daughter. It was like an older woman. She's with her daughter. And then her older husband walks up, okay, and she says, "Did you see any booths?" He said, "What? Did you see any booths? What? Did you see any booths?" She said this with such patience. 6 times. I sat there, I just watched them. "Did you see any booths? What?" The daughter walked up, and so the mom looked at her. The daughter left, and she came back. And she looked over at her daughter, and she said, "Did you see any booths?" And she said, "No, I didn't see any. They're all full." Right? The daughter got it right away. But he didn't understand. And so he turned to her, and he said, "What?" And she said, "Booths. Booths. Did you see any booths?" And he said, "Oh." That was it. She didn't roll her eyes. She didn't get impatient. She said it with such love. And then he came, and then they sat down, and she talked so pleasant. She didn't insult him, right? What would you have said in that moment? I'll be honest. I would have started with, did you see any booths? Did you see any booths? And then, did you see any booths? I would have gotten irritated, right? I would have been very annoyed. And then I would have just given up. I'd be like, forget it. And you turn to, did you see any booths? Yeah? Okay, khalas. Forget you. I don't need you anymore. Like, this is a waste of my time. That's not what she did. And that's why I bet you this couple that's like 70, 80 years old, they were so happy together. I mean, he walked up to join them. He gave her a kiss, and they sat down. It was so pleasant. Anybody else, this would have broken out into a fight. It would have been very easy. All right. I'm going to start to wrap up, but the other piece we didn't talk about is finances, right? Finances is a big area that causes a lot of problems. One of the biggest pieces in finances is when we start hiding. There needs to be an open relationship when it comes to finances. You should know what he makes. He should know what you make. You should both know what's in your bank account. You should decide how you spend the money together. You don't just go and buy a car and say, oh, I got you a car. I didn't ask for a car. We have to make these decisions together, no matter how big or how little. Because sometimes we think, oh, it's just $5. What's the big deal? I'll tell you what the big deal is. It's not about money. It's about your spouse knowing you, knowing your heart, knowing what you love, that this is what you want to do. Because do you know what those little things turn into? If my spouse knows that the way I would love to just spend $5 is to get myself a chai tea, the next time I'm upset or not feeling good, because he knows the little tiny expenses, he can bring that and say, you know, I saw you had a bad day, here's a chai. But if I'm hiding these little tiny, it's just $5, it's just $5, over and over again, he has no idea what I like. He doesn't know about the little things that lift my mood. So when you share all of the little details, it helps your spouse to know you so that they can lift you up that way too. All right, I'm going to start to wrap up. The biggest piece that I want to tell you, though, is, you know, you have to turn towards each other instead of away from each other, especially when things get bad. And this is hard because we have a lot of flexibility now. If you have family in the area, it's really easy that when you get into a fight, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to go see my friends. I'm going to go see my family. And you leave. If you have an extra bedroom in your house, how easy is it? Late at night, you get into a fight. How easy is it? You know what? I'm not sleeping here. And you go and you sleep in another bedroom. This creates more and more and more distance because you keep turning away from each other instead of turning towards each other, which is what would bring you closer. So try to reduce those options in order to turn towards each other in the middle of conflict. Any questions?
If you wanted to write the question Arabic or English, I'm going to translate for Niveen. I think I know many people don't want to talk in front of everyone, but if you wanted to write your question, and Niveen is going to answer it.
So Madam Shira will summarize. Do you want to come?
Oh.
She will summarize in Arabic.
Sure.
And she will moderate and ask you.
Okay.
Please come up.
I can hear.
Come up here.
Oh.
Sorry.
No.
It's only one microphone. So.
Well, yeah, she can have it.
How about if you said it takes two?
They need to hear you. So.
السؤال ان you said ان it takes two عشان يبقى فيه good relationship. How about لو في واحد بيعمل اقصى اللي عنده والتاني just thinking about himself and focusing on himself and he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Is it going to be satisfaction marriage? Satisfactory?
It's going to be satisfaction because you're not even going to pay attention to that. You can't pay attention to that. Like, that can't even be part of the conversation. I keep trying and trying and he's not doing anything. That's what we talked about in the beginning, right? That, oh, you know, she's not doing any, I already did my work. She didn't do her work. You're both going to fail. The only way to do it is to keep doing it. Do you remember when you did like group projects in school? And if you were the hardworking one, even if the other person didn't do their work, guess what you had to do? The whole thing. If you wanted the A, you had to do the whole thing. Even if your partner didn't do anything. The only way to succeed is to do your part, and if the other person's not doing it, you do what needs to be done. So we can't keep paying attention and saying, oh, but I've worked for 10 years and he hasn't put any effort. You have to keep doing it. Don't even look that way, because you're going to be resentful and you're going to be frustrated. So you just focus on you. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You pray for your spouse. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. 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 You have your strengths, he has his strengths. You have your weaknesses, he has his weaknesses. And you come together. Was she going to say something else, or should we? Yeah.
I think we have a big problem with the timing. Like, my wife always busy. There's any small tricks that can try to do this.
Yeah.
Maybe each other feeling like the other body always
Is busy. Stop being busy. Because in our culture now, we act like being busy is great, is the good thing. It's good to be busy. So we have to find ways to eliminate. And we're not that busy. We say we're busy, but we're not that busy. Because a lot of the things we do take up more time than they need to.
And I have a solution for that.
If my wife, she always busy with the kids, that's no doubt she's busy.
She is, but I don't have to be busy. I don't have to do everything. There's a way to find ways to be less busy with that. Even if that means, so like, I'm so busy. They go to bed at 9, put them to bed at 8:30, and then you have a half an hour together. Just make it a little bit early. So any kinds of ways. I'm busy at work. I'm done at 6. Well, leave at 5. You know, you can't always leave early, but find a way to change the weekends. Do they have to go to all of these different activities, or can we eliminate one so that you have time together? There's always things that we can eliminate that aren't priority if we take a step back and we think, my marriage is the priority and not the 10 birthday parties that we have, or the 5 soccer practices, or all of these different things. There's ways we can reduce some of that.
I'm talking about this for 5 years.
Arrange a time, even if it's a little time, it's a long time. Like not, we shouldn't go outside in a restaurant or something. It's to spend time together.
Yeah.
But sometimes we can like arrange a time, a little time, so we can go around our house, like just for walking.
Sure.
Have an hour.
Absolutely.
Together. Leave our kids at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Niveen, because they can't hear her, can you repeat?
Oh, she was saying it can also help to just, it can be something small, like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, just take a walk together, or, you know, something in the evenings that just, just spending any kind of time together, even if it's just a little bit. 10, 15 minutes is huge. It'll make you want more, and then but make it pleasant, so that you want to do it again the next time. Yes, absolutely.
احنا طبعا كلام جميل خالص اللي سمعناه ده، بس عايزينه ان هو يتحول حاجه عمليه في حياتنا، فاحنا عايزين نراجع مع بعض بسرعه البوينتس اللي اتقالت علشان واحنا ما نروح نفكر فيها عشان نحولها لحاجه عمليه في حياتنا. طبعا المين ثينج ان انا لازم اعمل مجهود، ان انا لازم ابذل جهد، ان انا to force myself to do things حتى لو انا مش عاجباني او مش عايزه اعملها. فالنقط اللي احنا قلنا to force ourselves to do it ان هو لازم يبقى عندي صبر، حتى لو انا متضايق فاصبر مع اللي قدامي، لازم احترم اللي قدامي حتى لو حاسس ان الموضوع لا مش مستاهل احترام، انما لا لازم احترمه، لازم ادي حب، ادي بذل، ادي تضحيه، اجبر نفسي على حاجات لو حتى لو مش عايزها، نبطل شغل العيال ان انا ده ما عملش يبقى انا مش هعمل. وقلنا الحاجات اللي بتؤدي لعلاقات غير سعيده اللي هو الانتقاد المستمر، ممكن اقول اللي انا عايزه من غير ما انتقد اللي قدامي، عدم احترام بعض، محاوله ان انا ديفنس ماي سيلف لما يكون بيوجه لي كلمه ان انا احاول ادافع عن نفسي واوجه له هو الاتهامات، فاحاول ان انا اتكلم بموضوعيه اكتر. ان احنا كمان لو حد قال لي حاجه ان انا اقفش بقى واسكت وما اتكلمش خالص، ده ما ينفعش، ان انا لازم يبقى فيه نقاش ولازم افتح المواضيع واتناقش فيها، حتى لو انا مش قادر دلوقتي ممكن اعتذر ان انا مثلا اخد 10 minutes افكر او ارتاح كده وبعدين ابتدي اتكلم تاني، ما ينفعش ان انا اقفل الموضوع خالص وما اتكلمش فيه. ان انا ارفض الريليشن شيب اللي بينا، ان انا انشغل على اللي قدامي بموبايل بتي في بنيوز بيبر باي حاجه، لازم ادي اتنشن اللي قدامي وابص اللي قدامي وانا بكلمه واسمعه، لازم يبقى في جود تايم بينا مع بعضينا. ناخد بالنا ان انا مش كل واحد يبقى عايش سعيد في عالم لوحده، ان لازم يبقى في حاجات سعيده مشتركه بينا. الحاجه الثانيه ان انا لازم اخد بالي ان الاسترس بتاع الشغل او المرض او كده ممكن ياثر على العلاقه بتاعتنا، فلازم ابي اتنشن للنقطه دي. اخر حاجه ان احنا لازم يبقى في احترام متبادل بينا، وان احنا زي ما نيفين قالت نتورن towards each other، مش ان احنا نبعد عن بعض. ونقطه من النقط المهمه اللي هي الحياه الماديه، ان احنا لازم to know everything about each other ماديا، ولازم ان احنا كل الديسيجنز ناخدها مع بعضينا. نيفين بتقول لنا الريسورسز. ثانك يو نيفين.
Please, Niveen. Please use the
Peter's the
repeat the
of
question.
course. Resources. You asked. So it depends on بدور على ايه. So if you're in winter, right? There's the 4 seasons of marriage. Especially if you're in winter. You want to know how to move into spring or summer? There's this one. If your problem is money, if it's over finances, this one's called profit sharing. It's how to share your finances together. St. John Chrysostomus on marriage and family life. It's harsh. Read this. It's harsh. He's very to the point, and it's very heavy. So take small paragraphs at a time. It's a lot. And then the 7 principles for making marriage work. This is by the gentleman I was telling you about who does the Love Lab, and this one's great. John Gottman. And anything by John Gottman is going to be helpful. Anything by Gary Chapman is going to be helpful, and yeah. And then if you want some other, okay, well, we're going to spend some time together. What are we going to talk about? This one is conversation starters for couples. It's a great way. It just starts you with, I'll give you an example. It'll say, yeah.
أنا معايا ورق اللي عايز يسأل أسئلة ومش حابب إن هو to say it على الميكروفون. معايا ورق وقلم اللي عايز just let me know. فول سكاب. ورق صغير.
Okay, في سؤال عن differences. Thank you. The differences. So if we're very different, right? Like مختلفين في كذا حاجة. مثلا هي ما بتحبش النور لما بننام وأنا بحب الضلمة، أو أنا بحب أسمع مزيكا وهي ما بتحبش تسمع مزيكا. Differences like this. How do we handle differences? When you respect the other person, you're willing to تيجي على نفسك شوية. I don't have to love the type of music my spouse listens to, but I can listen to it شوية. And you never know. Don't be so judgmental. You never know. Maybe when you listen to it over and over and over again, yeah, I can kind of like it. You like your spouse. I'm sure in the beginning they also like different things, but you were willing to tolerate, right? Like كنتوا بتستحملوا أكتر. معلش النور كده. أنا أستحمل النور عشان أنت تنام جنبي. Versus لا أنا بحب الضلمة، مش عاجبك الضلمة خلاص دور على حتة تانية. We can't do that, right? In the beginning, we were so willing to make these little, okay خلاص I don't mind. هيك على نفسي شوية.
We have more questions. أنت دايما بتنكش مش عارف تمشي.
No. لا ask. Oh, okay. You sure? Okay.
المهارات بتاعته.
بس هو سامع. لا مش هتفرق. انا بقول ان كل واحد ليه السكيلز بتاعته وليه المهارات بتاعته. ساعات بيبقى الزوجين يعني مبسوطين مع بعض وبيكملوا بعض وبينهم مفيش مشاكل، بس ساعات نظرة المجتمع ليهم وانتقادهم للزوجين بيكون سبب لبعض المشكلات، بالرغم ان هم يعني كويسين جدا مع بعض، بس ساعات دي بقى بتسبب ضيق وبالتالي بتسبب مشاكل ما بين الزوجين. مش بنقدرش نقول انها مشكله، بس على قد ما هو احساس بالحزن او بالزعل من انتقاد الاخرين للزوجين، يعني احنا بنتكلم بيهم ان هم حاجه واحده، بس ساعات المشكله بتيجي من بره. زي ما انت قلتي في المحاضره ان ممكن ان الاخت او من الزوجه او من بره الاسره، يعني هم كويسين جدا مع بعض، بس لما بتيجي حاجه من بره بتعكر صفو العلاقه دي.
Yeah.
How they handle.
They have to do it together. Okay? يعني outside forces, let's say مثلا الشغل or in-laws or the spouse's siblings or other people from outside. When you face them together, you're stronger. Versus, yeah, we're strong in the house, احنا مع بعض، بس أول ما بنخرج برا البيت لا خلاص بلاقيه he takes her side every time. We have to stay together inside and outside to defend together. This comes up a lot like with in-laws, right? Like, okay, احنا علاقتنا كويسة، بس the moment مامته تقول حاجة it all falls apart. احنا مش كنا متفقين وبعد كده هي قالت كده لقيتك خلاص. No, this is not my husband at all. خالص. Yeah, he is innocent when it comes to this. Because you know what? We face it together. When we agree on something inside, we بننفذها برا كمان. Like it has to be on the exact same side, no matter what. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So he's saying when couples pray together, it helps them with their problems. That was a section I had to skip because I saw we were short on time, but absolutely. You know, when you pray with your spouse, it's such a, prayer is so intimate, right? You tell God everything, you open up completely. When you do that with your spouse, if you have a hard time opening up to your spouse, pray together, open up to God, and you'll get to hear all of what's happening inside of your spouse, and it changes. I mean, it's such an intimate moment. It's life-changing.
So there's a question that basically the question is how if I can't control myself? What do I do if I can't control myself? For example, if there's a question or anything that I know that my opinion will hurt, but I can't just hold it in.
If my question or my opinion will hurt
the other party.
You can find a way to say it gently. Yani, it's not an excuse to say you can't control yourself. That could be what's causing whatever that conflict is, but you have to work at that. You can't keep saying, I can't control myself, I can't control. Eventually, you need to figure out how to control yourself. I mean, you can use that to explain what's happening now, but eventually you have to work work on yourself to find a different way. So I can't say I can't control myself. I tell her exactly what's wrong with her. I have to say, I have to practice, okay, instead of saying this, let me say it in a gentler way, and then I approach it that way. But it can't be a long-term excuse to say, I just can't control myself. You have to work on that.
Niveen, can I ask you a question? So Niveen does a lot of marital counseling, right? And you deal a lot with the marriage, relationships, conflicts. What would be the most common, what is the highest, prevalent conflict that brings people to see you?
It's a couple of different ones, but I would say a lot of times it can be finances. A lot of times they come in and they're saying the same thing. They're just talking it so differently, but they're saying the same thing. Like, you don't appreciate me, you don't appreciate me, but they're saying it in such different ways that they can't meet one another in the middle. It's, oh, you don't feel appreciated? Let me take the first step and appreciate you, and then you'll appreciate, and then we can show appreciation for each other. It's coming from such an emptiness, and it's that turning away. But oftentimes it's sexual relationships, finances, just arguing over very tiny things. But it's over you don't know your spouse. It's because you don't know them, and because they don't know themselves. That's what I would say is actually one of the most foundational. Because انت مش فاهم نفسك عشان تفهم اللي قدامك what's happening for you, واللي قدامك مش فاهمك برضو because they can't understand themselves, and so you're both coming ولا فاهمة ولا فاهمة نفسي, and so it's just this.
As you told us from last lecture about five
love languages. Absolutely, yeah, because they're speaking different languages.
مدام مشير، احنا لما كنا بنتكلم قلت لي ان 90% من الجوازات في مصر بتعاني من
في العالم.
Do you want to comment about that?
يعني is it true ان 90% او حاجه 90% من الجوازات في العالم مش هابي؟ يعني ما هماش سعداء. يعني even لو هم مش divorce ولا separated or anything، انما ما هماش سعداء.
I don't know the exact percentage.
I read that.
So
I'm not sure.
But there probably is a high degree of, not being satisfied.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take us back to the beginning. You don't always have to feel like doing this. You don't always have to feel happy in your marriage. You still go to work, even when you're not happy. You do it. You do what needs to be done.
Niveen, one last thing that I'll ask you. So I know in therapy you have a lot of practical tips, practical things an exercise that you give to couples to do together. So if you give a homework today, an assignment, a practical thing just for this week on a daily basis, you will do X, Y, and Z. What would that be?
I would do two things. One is, we'll hear your tip later. One is I would spend 10 minutes at night just telling each other about your day. This is how you get to know your spouse. How was your day? What's going on for you? And just communicating together. Spend 10 minutes together. The second thing is challenge yourself for 2 weeks. Don't think anything negatively about your spouse, and don't say anything negatively to your spouse. Your whole mindset will change. There's actually a book that another church in the area is doing on kindness, being kind to others and how it changes relationships. Try it with your spouse. Don't say anything negative. Don't think anything negative. So rather than sit and think, oh, he didn't, she didn't, let it go and just think positively towards your spouse, even if you feel like they don't deserve it.
Love it. One more question. Madame Mushira was asking about, have you seen the movie Fireproof? And what do you think about that movie?
Yeah, it's a wonderful movie. It's Fireproof. It's a great, great movie. And I think that's the one where at the end of it they come up with...
Do you want to tell them? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've watched it many years ago. But at the end, something that came out of the movie, it's called The Love Dare. And so the Love Dare gives you, I want to say it's like 30 days or 40 days of a task to do with your spouse. And day 1 is not to criticize your spouse. Day 2 says, okay, now continue to not criticize and do like one nice thing, or buy them one small tiny gift, or make a phone call, something like that. And you have to keep not criticizing. It's actually, it's kind of hard.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, don't give up
Yeah.
until you reach the 40.
Yes, get to the 40. Don't give up until you get to day 40. But it's very practical, small nuggets every single day for 40 days.
It will change our world if we watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's online. If you just Google the Love Dare, it'll bring you all 40 days.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you everyone. دلوقتي احنا عشان بس اكرر الهوم ورك بتاع الاسبوعين دولت. ويعني it's up to you انك انت تكمت ولا لا. مفيش حد هي twist your arm. بس الواجب بتاعنا في الاسبوعين دولت انه كل يوم هنحدد 10 دقائق هنقعد مع السباوس بتاعنا، الزوج او الزوجه، وفي ال10 دقائق دولت هنحكي على اليوم وايه الحاجات اللي اثرت فيا في اليوم دوت، الشغل اللي كان شكله ايه، العيال. بس protect، احمي 10 دقائق في اليوم just for your partner. ده اول حاجه. تاني حاجه، في خلال الاسبوعين دولت مش هتفكر اي حاجه نيجاتيف، مش هتفكر في اي فكر سلبي او تقول كلام سلبي على زوجك او زوجتك لمده الاسبوعين دول كده تعمل زي ما بيقولوا في الخطيه، تخليها تطير من فوق بس ما تعشش في دماغك. فده الفتره ديت، فتره الاسبوعين دولت، ده الهوم ورك بتاعنا. نيفين بتقول هتعمل فرق كبير قوي في حياتك الزوجيه، واللي حابب يجرب. هنبعت ايميل بكل الريفرنسز وكل المراجع اللي كانت الدكتوره نيفين شاركتنا معاها، وتعيشوا.
أنا عارف سمعته كتير، بس أنا هختم بحاجة مهمة قوي. الجواز ساعات الناس بتشتكي من أعراض. عارفين لما واحد يروح لدكتور يقول له أنا سخن، ما هو السخونة مش هي المرض. فالجواز زي المرض بالظبط. في 3 أمراض، ملخص 3 أمراض بيعانوا منهم في الحياة الزوجية. المرض الأولاني العلاقات الجسدية لو ما فيها مشكلة. المرض الثاني موضوع المال، مشكلة كبيرة. المرض الثالث هو الأهل، تدخل الأهل. طول 3 أمراض. فمرة كنت قاعد مع 2 متجوزين في مصر، يعني بقالهم 22 سنة أو أكتر من كده، فقاعدين يتكلموا في مواضيع مالهاش علاقة بأي حاجة، يعني ده بس بتعمل كذا، وبعد كده طلعت المشكلة على العلاقات الجسدية فيها توتر. لكن كل اللي بيحصل دي أعراض للمشكلة دي. فلازم تعرف مشكلتك إيه وتحاول تحلها. سيبك من الأعراض، إن هي بتزعق، إن هي مش عارف بتعمل إيه، أو هو بيعمل إيه، أو هو مش مهتم بيا. كل دي أعراض لمشكلة أساسية من ال3 مشاكل دول. لا إما علاقات جسدية فيها توتر، لا إما المال، مشكلة تنظيم المال، ودي مشكلة كبيرة في أمريكا على فكرة. في مصر ما كناش حاسين بيها قوي، بس في أمريكا هنا الدنيا صعبة قوي. في ناس بتعاني يعني دلوقتي، صرفت حاجة جوزها يولع، ولو هي مش عارف ايه، في فلوسي وفلوسك، وبقت العملية فيها. هي بقت تشتغل، ما كانتش تشتغل في مصر، بدأت تشتغل هنا. فبقى في توتر في حكاية المال. والأهل، حتى لو احنا في أمريكا وأهلنا في مصر، انت بتكلمي أهلك كتير، انت مش عارف ايه، وهم اللي بيقولوا لك وهم اللي بيوجهوكي، وانت الكلام ده كله هنا في أمريكا. فاعرف مشكلتك وحاول تحلها مع زوجك او مع زوجتك. وما كنتش عارف، دخل اب روحي معاك، اب اعتراف ليك، ويتدخل ويسمع من هنا ويسمع من هنا، ونحاول نوصل لحل للمشكله اللي انتم موجود فيها. ربنا يحافظ عليكم. بنشكر نيفين جدا جدا على وقتها ومحبتها، وبنشكر جيمي طبعا جوزها انه جه طبعا النهارده، والاولاد تعبوا معانا يعني وغيروا كل حاجاتهم وجم النهارده، فبنشكرهم كأسرة يعني محبتهم. وهو المفروض انا قلت لنيفين ان جيمي ما يحضرش المحاضره دي، بس هو اصر انه يحضر، يعني معلش. فبنشكرهم على محبتهم ونتمنى ان نيفين تدينا سلسله، يعني بيتر يرتب مع نيفين تدينا سلسله في الحاجات دي احنا محتاجينها، ولازم نتكلم، لازم نتكلم. عندنا مشاكل كتير، احنا بنفاجئ كآباء كهنه لما المشكله بتبقى خلاص يقول لنا احنا عايزين نتطلق، فدي طبعا بتبقى صعبه قوي. فلا نستصغر المشاكل اللي عندنا ونتكلم فيها. ربنا يبارك في حياتكم، حافظ على بيوتنا، حافظ على كنيستنا. هنصلي وهنبتدي نروح بقى نتحرك للإستر بارتي بنعمة ربنا. بسم الله والابن والروح القدس إله واحد أمين. بنشكرك يا رب على الكلمات اللي سمعناها دلوقتي يا رب. أنت تعلم يا رب أن هناك مشاكل كتيرة يا رب في بيوتنا، لكن أنت قادر يا رب